Yeah, your comfort zone. Like if you think of it as a circle and you're like in the middle of your comfort zone, right? As you get to the edge of your comfort zone, that's when things get like scary or hard or whatever. And we want to just like, oh, that's not comfortable. Our brain's like, stop. This is not safe, right? And so like we want to come back to the middle of our comfort zone. But the crazy thing is, if we do that, if we retreat from that scariness, our comfort zone actually shrinks.
Hey, listeners, welcome to another episode of Light Beyond Limits, the podcast where we talk about the breakthroughs and the stories that people have had with their limitations and the lessons that they've learned from it. My name is William Blake, and today we have a wonderful special guest, Miss Jen Kitterman. Jen's journey has been fueled by her own experiences with overcoming adversity and reclaiming her health. Drawing upon her personal transformation, she is dedicated to helping others realize their power, unlock their full potential, and discover the joy of living a balanced, vibrant life. She is a health and wellness coach and an empowerment coach. Jen, great to have you on. Thank you for being here.
Of course. Thanks so much for having me.
To start off, just like we always start off in these episodes, we want to hear about you. We want to hear about the challenge that you faced, really how it affected your life, whether it was from a kid or in your adult life, until that time or times where you kind of had a mindset switch to then push past that limitation. We'd love to hear your story.
For sure. I would love to tell it. My journey began in 2020. I know probably I was the only one struggling at this point through COVID.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I'm pretty sure it was just me. And so I had my stockpile of toilet paper because everybody had that, and I'm not sure. I still don't know why. It doesn't matter though, I guess. But I wasn't making any connections with people, and I just stayed inside my house, and I got to an all-time high for my weight. And I remember one day just sitting on my bed, and I felt powerless, and like nobody was going to come and save me. And suddenly I knew that it was me. I had to be the one to show up for myself. And I started my health journey, and it was kind of the come to Jesus moment, right? Where it's just like, guys, like, Jen, you've got to get it together, and you're not happy and everything like that. And so I started from there. And as I started, the most amazing things happened. Like people started showing up into my life that were instrumental in helping me achieve the goal that I was looking for. I had a mentor, Carly, who she just took me in and was like, hey, I've got a fitness challenge. Like, let's do this. And in my first 30 days with her, I lost 18 pounds. And over the next 6 months, another 30 pounds. And and now it's been years that I've been able to maintain that. And it's so cool to like stop and think that it was that one moment when I made a decision, like, no, this isn't how I'm going to live my life anymore. And I'm going to live better, and then from that point on, I'm not going to say I didn't have any setbacks, because I did. There was plenty of times when I just was like, right. And it was a thing, but because I had been to that point where it's like the despair is the way that I like to the only way I can think of to describe it. And I knew how bad it was there, and I didn't want to go back to that.
Wow. Man, just hearing that, I'm about to cry. That's such a powerful moment. When a lot of people, when they go through the challenges that they go through, they have those moments where they're like, I am done. I am going to push past and move on. A lot of times it happens on New Year's resolutions. But for most people, after a couple days, they fall on the wayside. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure you've made New Year's resolutions. What was different between then and then falling off a couple days, couple weeks after. And this specific moment that made you lose 18, then 30, and then continue to go down that path?
That is a great question. I think a lot of times when we make like resolutions, right? They're like wishes. It's like, one day I want to have this thing. And it's just like this really like amorphous, like not a grounded thing, And I feel like when you really decide something, then that's like your all in moment, right? Like instead of like, oh, one day I wish I had $1 million, like you can almost feel it when it's something like that. And it's like,
Yeah.
I'm making $1 million, right? Like it's just like putting the why behind it. Like I think that's always the biggest thing, is finding the reason why. So like in the beginning, I just didn't want to go back to despair, right? So I was running away from something. But the cool thing is, as I was running away, I found out I was running towards something as well. And it was like, oh my gosh, like, okay, I didn't want to go back there, but now I'm actually going towards happiness. Like I'm going towards joy. And then I was being drawn forward by that, like it feels like you hit this almost in between point where it goes from running away to running towards, which is pretty magical.
And did that come pretty quick, or was it in like a couple of days, couple of weeks when you had that point, a couple of years?
I think the thing that really helped was gaining that momentum, right? Like in the beginning, because I lost like quite a bit in the first month, it was like, oh, I started seeing results, and it's just like, okay, I do the thing, then I get results, then I do the thing, then I get results. And a lot of us give up before we can see the results. And it's a process, and all things have a different like gestation, right? What it takes to like having a baby, gestation is 9 months. Like everybody knows that. But when it comes to like building a business or what, like losing weight, like everybody is going to have a different amount of time. And we're always comparing ourselves to other people. And it's like, well, they lost it in a month, or they whatever, and it's just like, it's going to be exactly the amount of time that it takes. And you have to be patient, and you have to be working towards it at the same time. So, yeah.
You bring up such a powerful point, because when it comes to those challenges and comes to achieving the goals that you want, it is so personal.
Yeah.
But we don't want it to take too long.
Yeah.
It's that thing inside of us where like, we want this, we're dedicated, we're going to get it. But I want it in my time.
Yeah.
And you brought up it where it's each of us have our own timeline.
Yeah.
When it's going to happen, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
The things that we can do is just control what we can control, which is the daily consistent steps that we can take to be able to get to that destination that we want to get to.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's really funny that you say it's the daily steps. I was talking to one of my friends the other day, and she was saying like she's on depression medication, and she gets to a point where she's like, I feel so good, like I'm good, I don't even need this. And she stops taking her medication, and then she goes back to a depressed place. And I was like, well, that's dumb. Like, why don't you just take your medication? Like when she said that, I was like, that's silly. Like, just take your medication. But then I like stopped mid-sentence, and I was like, oh my gosh, I do that all the time. Like I know the things, like if I do my morning routine, like if I exercise, all those things make me feel so good. But you get to this point where it's like, oh, I'm kind of like cruising, like this feels so good. And you stop doing those daily things. And it's like, wait, what happened? And then like everything falls away one at a time. And then it's like, wait, what just happened? And then you have to like start again, and everything starts working. It's just like, it's this cycle that we're like always stuck in. It feels like we're like, yeah, and then it's like, oh crap,
What? Why is that? Why do we as humans do that all the time? I relate so much to that. I'm like, I'm doing so great. So I'm working on my health journey. You know this because we all, you, me, and a bunch of other people get on a call every morning. As I'm on my health journey, I'm doing great, getting that gallon of water in, getting the calories right, and like eating better, getting the sleep I need. And then once I get it, I'm like, oh, I'm feeling great. I have this energy. I can see some shape in my skin.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, I'm comfortable. And it goes back down. Why is that?
Because it gets to a point, I feel like, where it just starts getting hard again. And the more that I live life, the more I realize it's all about maintenance. Like every single thing, like dishes. I got to do those every day or they're going to pile up, right? Like laundry, all the things that are around us, they all require maintenance. And if we continue to maintain them, they actually become something that we almost do in the background. Like we don't even realize we do half of the things that we do because our brains are like programmed to save calories, which is crazy. And I don't want to get sciencey, but it's crazy.
Let's get sciencey.
Right? It's just like, it's ridiculous the amount of things. Like if you're taking a shower in the morning, like if you think about it, if you stop and think about it, there's an order that you do it. Like, right, I put shampoo on and whatever. But if I'm not thinking about it, I just am out of the shower and I don't even know what happened. Because our brains are like, oh, she doesn't need to think about that anymore. Like, she's good. Like, we'll just put her on autopilot, right? And so we get to this autopilot point and it's like, yeah, okay, whatever. But then it takes effort to get to the next step. And it's like, and our brains are like, wait, that sounds like effort. Let's go back further than where you were before. We'll just even stop doing these other little things because those are taking some calories. So we'll like, and so then you drop everything else, right?
Yeah. It's also like my parents live up about 30 miles away from me. When I go from their house to our place, I get on autopilot mode. I turn on, my wife and I love to listen to audiobooks. So we turn on an audiobook, and from whenever that book starts to then pulling up in our garage, I sit there and think, I just drove 30 minutes and have no idea what just happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I hope no one died.
I know, right? It's like waking up from a dream and you're like, wait, what just happened?
Yes. Oh, and what a powerful lesson it is, to push past the comfort while doing what you're doing to get towards your goal. That's not talked about a lot because we talk about the comfort of people staying where they're at and then them pushing past that initial thing to them starting to grow.
Yeah.
I've never had that thought that while you are growing, you hit a comfort point, and to pass that limitation, past that next barrier, you have to do even harder things.
Yeah. Yeah. Your comfort zone. Like if you think of it as a circle and you're like in the middle of your comfort zone, right? As you get to the edge of your comfort zone, that's when things get like scary or hard or whatever. And we want to just like, oh, that's not comfortable. Our brain's like, stop. This is not safe, right? And so like we want to come back to the middle of our comfort zone. But the crazy thing is, if we do that, if we retreat from that scariness, our comfort zone actually shrinks. And then you're not even comfortable with some things that you were comfortable with, right? But the crazy thing is, if you go past that comfort zone, beyond that, there's another comfort zone, right? Like, okay, well, I'm comfortable here, but it's like layers of bubbles that go outward and you have to break through the next section of comfort zone. And so you have to become comfortable with discomfort or you will stop growing. It's crazy.
It's crazy. Yeah. You have my mind going on every year since I was 20. I've made a decision. I'm going to choose one thing to increase my faith in God. And so like, it's like a specific thing where earlier you were talking about the dedication and the commitment to, once you have that decision, then it's just go, go, go. And it happens.
Yeah.
That first time I had a decision, it was at that time when my grandmother passed away. And out of all my grandparents, she was the one I was closest to. At the time, I was serving an LDS mission. And I was getting close to coming home, and she was in the hospital. I knew she wasn't doing well. And I get a call on a Saturday night. And it was my parents saying that my grandma passed away. That was 3 days before I came home.
Oh, man.
And so that night was a few days getting into me being 20, because just how it worked out.
Yeah.
And so I remember kneeling down and being like, I'm making a decision today that every year I'm going to do something to get closer to you.
Yeah.
Because as I do, I know that's what my grandmother would want.
Yeah.
And so the first thing was getting rid of caffeine, not drinking a drop of caffeine after that. The day before, I had like 6, no joke, 6 of those big gulp liter type sodas full of, I think it was Dr. Pepper, that I would drink while me and my companion were out driving around and teaching people.
Yeah.
But it was that cold turkey cut that I made. And then since then, I haven't had a thing of caffeine.
Yeah.
And just like you had that moment where you're like, this is when I decide to change my life. And then you went on to lose the weight. And not only that, you've continued to transform yourself and start transforming other people as a health and wellness coach. I'd love to hear more about how that transformation is going and how you are transforming other people along the way.
Yeah, for sure. Before we go there, I'm going to go in there, but I just want to talk a little bit about what you were talking about.
Yeah.
It's so interesting how you just said, like, I made that decision, right? And it's like both of us, we had to get to like this sad or like low point in our lives, right? And I feel like a lot of us have to be compelled to make a decision, right? But the cool thing is, you actually don't have to be. Like, you can choose something better at any moment in your life. Like, I think that's my favorite discovery of my life, is that like, if I'm, even if my life is good or whatever, I can choose to make it better. Like right now, I can choose that, and then I can take action on it. Like, let's not wait until we get to the end of our rope, because we are way better equipped right now than we are when we're in the despair, right?
Alex Ramosi said something along those lines where he says, if you need to hit bottom, let now be the bottom, so then you can start going up. And if you feel like you need to actually hit more of a rock bottom, get there quicker, so then you can start improving your life. I don't recommend that for anyone. Start now, make this your rock bottom. But you're right. Some of us need to hit that die hard emotional, saddened, anger, whatever negative feeling we're feeling state to be able to transform. But it doesn't have to be that way.
Exactly.
You can start right now.
Yeah. Yeah, you got it. Yeah. So now I've been a coach for 3 years, and I've helped hundreds of women lose weight and find themselves again. They come in and they feel powerless like I did. And it is so cool to watch them step into their power, and they're like, wow, I never knew I could do this. And then the cool thing is they don't stop there. Like, a lot of them go on to build businesses. Like, they go on to get raises at their jobs. Like, suddenly they find this confidence. And a lot of people think that it comes from losing weight, but it's not from losing weight. It's on the journey to finding that, oh, actually, I like myself. Right? And the biggest change is right between your ears, right? It's always about mindset. And when they start learning to love themselves from the beginning, like, that's our biggest thing. Like, you are perfect exactly the way you are, just as you are. We're just choosing to make some better choices so that our bodies can get us where we want to go. So start loving yourself now. I think the biggest mistake that people make when they're taking a weight loss journey, there's two things. Like the first thing is that they just try to add all the things in at once. It's like, I'm drinking my gallon of water, I'm working out an hour a day, I'm,
Guilty.
and they'll add in like 5 or 10 things, and then it's just not sustainable, right? Like they can do it for 2 weeks. That's probably about what happens. And then they're like, okay, it didn't work, right? And the other thing is they'll say things like, I can't have sugar anymore, or I can't have those foods anymore. Those foods are bad, right? And they take things away from themselves, and then they feel like it's like the forbidden fruit. It's like, I have to have that because I'm saying that I can't have it, And so it's like, okay, so instead of that, we need to just add in like 1 to 3 things at the beginning. But eat one thing is best, right? So start with drinking more water. And then after a week, if you're like getting that, like, then you can add in something, but don't add in an hour of a workout, like add in a 10-minute walk, right? Whatever you're doing now, just make it a little harder. And you don't have to just do the all in. And then don't take things away from yourself. Work on or worry about adding things instead of taking things away, right? Like if you're trying to get off soda, add in water and there will be less room for soda. Like naturally the soda will fall away. Add in vegetables and meat and the carbs will kind of fall away, right? Like when we focus on what we can have, what we get to have, then we can really shift our mindset on it.
I had that experience because you and I talked several weeks ago, a month or two ago.
Yeah.
The last time we talked, you mentioned that exact same thing. A week after that, I went to my parents' house and they had this big buffet type setup for dinner with all of us kids. As I went through it, I'm looking at my plate. I say, okay, I need my fruits and vegetables. Put those on first because you're like, eat the fruits and vegetables, then the protein, wait 15 minutes, and then you can have the carbs.
Yeah.
Like my fruits and veggies on there. I get the protein on there. And because it's a buffet, there's a lot of choices. So I went down and ate, came back, and wasn't too hungry. There was like, I have a guilty pleasure of macaroni salad. So I went for the macaroni salad, but it was just a small portion and that was it.
Yeah, exactly.
It was like, I used to eat carbs a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But then when I started to just simply add more protein, add more fruits and vegetables, the carbs just kind of flew away.
Yeah. And you don't even realize like, oh my gosh, like I don't eat as many carbs. And it, it's not until you look back on it that you're like, oh, I'm making healthy choices all over the place, right?
We're doing good.
Totally. And that's the cool thing. Like a lot of it is just like changing the order of how you eat, right? So get your veggies and protein in, wait the 15 minutes, then come back. And if you're still hungry, like finish off with the carb. And then you'll notice like, oh, I'm actually not that hungry because the protein and fiber that you got like filled and nourished your body, this beautiful vessel that you get to walk in. It's so great.
I love your attitude. You are one of the most energetic, fantastic people that I've met. And the wisdom that you share and the experiences that you have, I just want to take a second to just commemorate you on that.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Out of the people that you have been able to help, all those hundreds of women, do you have like one favorite story of a transformation they had?
There are so many. I think the one that stands out to me right now was my friend Melanie, and I can't even remember. I want to say she's lost like 75 pounds with us. And, it was really a similar situation. She was just taking care of her family and just like she poured everything into her family. Just one of those good-hearted, wonderful women that, I live to serve my family. And she has 2 boys that are special needs, and so she's always doing all the things, and she was putting herself last. And finally, she made the decision that she needed to have a place that wasn't last in her life. And she came to us, and it was so incredible to watch her journey as she was losing the weight. And now she is just like this. She's on fire. Like, you can tell when you see her, she's just like happy, and like there's like a pep in her step, right? Like, she's just really joyful and just feels taken care of because she took care of herself. And I feel like all the time, especially as women, I'm sure men too, we really try to like give, right? We're always giving, but how can you give from an empty cup, right? If you're not filling your cup up each day, then you can't, like, there's nothing more to give. So instead, fill others from your overflowing.
I laughed because I saw a reel yesterday about that exact same concept. A wife comes in holding her phone and her husband just sitting there eating. She says, I don't know how you can just be hungry and then sit down and eat. There is so much going on. And she went off on a few other things, and the husband sat there patiently eating cereal or something. And after she was done, he said, well, that's just like saying that you are trying to get places and you're running empty on a tank of gas, and that you can't go get gas because you got a bunch of places you need to go.
Yeah.
You're saying, I can't fill gas. I got places you need to go. No, you need to stop and fill up the gas, and then you can go to the different places. And she came back smirkly. She says, I hate you because it made so much sense.
Dang it.
Dang it, husband. But the principle rings true, and you brought it up wonderfully, that we got to focus on us.
Yeah.
Because as we are able to, we're able to help up more other people.
Yeah, for sure. And that's the cool part. Like, the more we help ourselves, the more we can help others, and it feels like selfish at first, like, but I can't put myself first, right? But actually, it's the opposite of selfish, because you could serve them at a higher level. You can show up happy for them instead of stressed, like for your kids, right? Like, I feel like I show up as a completely different person for my kids, where before I was like, like, you do it yourself, it's just like whatever. And now, like, I can actually show up for them because I am helping myself as well.
Wonderfully said. Jen, I am so glad you're able to be on here. For people who want to find you on social media, website, whatever it is, where can they find you at?
They can find me at jenkitterman.com. I'm always running a free 3-week challenges. So check it out.
Awesome. And that link and any other links will be in the description that you guys can go and click on to be able to find Jen. Very last thing. So what I like to do in my podcasting episodes is what a thing I got from Stephen Bartlett, who's the host of A Diary of a CEO. What he does, and what I stole or adapted
I love it,
is what he calls the final question. The final question is a question that the previous person that was interviewed gave for you to answer. So you're not going to know who they are. They're not going to know who you are.
Awesome.
But they left a question for you to answer. Are you ready for it?
I'm ready. Bring it on.
So the question they left, what do you want people to remember most about you?
That's a great question. Honestly, I want people to remember the way that they felt when they were around me. Like, I don't care if they remember a word that I said, but if they remember that they were loved and that they meant something to me, that would be the thing for sure.
I love it. You're awesome, Jen. Thank you for being on here. And for you wonderful listeners, thank you for listening in. That's been another episode of Light Beyond Limits. We're grateful for Jen for being here. If you guys have found inspiration in this episode, go ahead and subscribe to our podcast. You can find us on all the major podcasting platforms. All the links to be able to find Jen on social media, and her webpage will be in the description below. And if you are looking to be able to find more episodes like this, as well as our social media, you can go to our website at coachwilliamblake.com. And until next time, my friends, continue to be awesome. Continue to focus on yourself first, so that as you go forward, you're able to serve other people better. We'll see you on the next episode, my friends, of Light Beyond Limits.